welcome back to my home, kitchen, and garden. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to share in this video some homemaking, some gardening, and just daily life around our home. I just also wanted to say thank you so much to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for being here, for supporting me. And I noticed that there's quite a lot of new faces recently, ever since the new year began. So I just wanted to use this video to kind of talk about who my family is, who we are, what we do, what our lifestyle is like, and what our channel is all about, and where we began, and how we got to the lifestyle that we are living today. So before I begin all of that, I just want to go way back to kind of our beginnings. So my husband is from Far East Russia. That's where he was born. I was born in Kazakhstan. And then when we were both just a little older than the toddler stage, both of our families moved to the U.S. His family moved to Oregon, and my family moved to Seattle, Washington area. And he was raised in Oregon, I was raised in Washington. And then right around our teenage years, we actually met in a Christian school where his aunt was a teacher. So his mom sent him up to the Seattle area so that he can be a student at the school where his aunt was a teacher. So we met in school. I was in 10th grade. He was in 11th grade. And we ended up falling in love. And he completed 1 year of Christian college. And then we just decided to get married. I was still in my last year of high school when we got married, and we wanted to start a family right away. So I actually finished my last year of high school with a baby bump. That was interesting. But to this day, we're high school sweethearts, and getting married young was one of the best decisions that we have ever made. I know for a lot of people, it kind of raises eyebrows and people question whether or not it's a good decision to get married so young. But personally, for my husband and I, one of the reasons why we are so glad we married each other so young is that because we basically grew up together. We formed all of our interests, all of our worldviews, everything kind of side by side together. And so everything, the way that we view life, all of our goals, all of our interests are just like intertwined. So that is part of what makes us bestest friends and makes us so close. And honestly, becoming young parents at ages 18 and 19, we were already married, and we got pregnant with our first daughter about a month after our marriage. And that is one of our best decisions that we ever made. Just starting a family right away, starting young, raising young kids from such a young age. We're in our early 30s now, and our oldest is 13, and the second one is 11. Next one is 7. The last one is 3. It's just been a really, really great experience being young parents. And I think one of our favorite things about being such young parents and being only 18, 19 years apart with our oldest daughter is that it feels like we're really connected. Like we are really able to understand one another and really able to communicate and get along and even, have fun and laugh and just enjoy each other's company. And I'm not saying that this is only for parents that became young parents. This kind of connection can also happen with older parents too. If you became a parent at a much older age, you can still have such a wonderful time parenting and raising your kids. But I'm just making a point that you shouldn't be scared to become young parents and get married young and start a family so young. I think it's a beautiful thing. I personally think that it's beautiful and wonderful, and getting married in your youth and then having children together in your youth and growing old together. There's just something really special about that, and I feel like a lot of people in the modern age are afraid to jump for that. They're afraid of failing, getting divorced later on. I think that there's just a lot of things in the culture that discourage that. But personally, my husband and I always encourage young couples. We think it's great to get married young and just grow up together and form all your interests and everything together. So if you've been on my channel for a little bit and you've seen my other videos, I mention in multiple videos that we currently live in Georgia. And you might be wondering, how in the world did we end up from Seattle, Washington in Georgia? So we're one of those COVID era movers, during COVID where everybody seemed to be shifting and moving around. So we are one of those. In 2021, we bought a house in Georgia. We just decided that we wanted to leave the Seattle, Washington area. We didn't match the culture. We didn't match that whole thing that's going on there. We're Bible-believing Christians, and we didn't feel like that was the place for us. Plus, Seattle has very gloomy weather, so that was one of the other reasons why we moved. We just wanted sunshine, and we wanted to move to the Bible Belt, so that's why and how we ended up in Georgia. When we first married, for about the first 7 to 8 years of our marriage, I was not really a good homemaker. I liked to go out a lot, go to parks, go to restaurants, go to cafes, whatever. I had always enjoyed motherhood, but homemaking wasn't something that I really ever even thought about doing. I was just focusing on motherhood and never really giving homemaking a second thought. We lived kind of in the city area, so that was kind of my life. I would pack up the kids, we'd go out and do stuff in the city or town all day long, and I was not exactly a loving homemaker. It was not until we moved to our home in 2020, this was still back in Washington State, where we walked into the home that we later bought, and while we were touring it, I just fell in love with the whole atmosphere of that home. So the husband and wife that sold it to us, the wife was just an amazing homemaker. I could tell in every corner of the home. She had her sewing kit, she had her little schoolroom where the kids learn, she had a beautiful garden. I could tell that she cooked from scratch. She had her little Instapot standing there. And at that moment, back in 2020, I realized that this was the home for us. And this is the lifestyle that I wanted to pursue with all of my heart. I wanted to be a loving, godly homemaker, a homeschool mother. I wanted to pour my heart and all of my love into my home, my husband, and my children for the glory of God. And this is really where this awakening happened. And we ended up living in this house for only about a year and a half, and then we ended up just deciding that we didn't want to live in Washington State anymore. And so we actually bought a house in Georgia. We sold that one, bought the house in Georgia, moved here. And ever since we moved to Georgia, it's just been even more so. All of this pursuing this kind of life, this homesteading, homeschooling, homemaking lifestyle, it's just been getting more and more just better here ever since we moved. And again, going a little ways back, so when we just had our first two kids, our second one was around 2, maybe 3 years old at the most, I was actually working a full-time job, and the job was good. The people were nice, the boss was really nice, but I just never felt fulfilled, and I just felt so empty, and I dreaded going to work, and I just dreaded leaving, and I couldn't figure out for the longest time why. And later on, I realized it's because I longed to be home. I wanted to be with my children. I wanted to tend to my home. I wanted to love on my kids and love on my husband through homemaking. Until I started living and pursuing that kind of lifestyle, I have never felt more fulfilled. I actually am the happiest I've ever been just living this kind of lifestyle, homemaking, homesteading, homeschooling. So if you're a family wondering if this is worth it, if the wife should stay at home and homeschool the children, tend to the home, be a homemaker, I would say give it a try and see how much you love it, because it really is one of the most fulfilling roles I have ever had in my life. And I believe this is just something that God has naturally placed into us as women. We just naturally have this longing to nurture, to homemake, to create beauty all around us for our family to enjoy. I don't necessarily believe that homemaking and mothering and homeschooling is the only thing that all women should be doing. I do believe that there are important roles women have as doctors and other professions. But what I am saying is that if you are one of those women like me who long to be a homemaker, a homeschool mother, that it is truly one of the most beautiful things that you can choose to do with your life. So many people today are struggling to find joy and purpose in their daily lives, and I believe one big reason is because of the rejection of God in our culture, and another big reason is because families and having children has been so discouraged in our culture. The Bible says that children are a heritage and a blessing from the Lord. This is totally contrary to what the world teaches nowadays. The world teaches young women and young men that children are a massive burden, they should be stayed away from. It's not a blessing to start a family and have kids, it's the opposite. So all of these kind of teachings and ideas are really poisoning the minds of young people. And I believe that this is where a lot of the unhappiness and unfulfillment and purposelessness comes from. And I believe with all of my heart that God created us to be part of strong communities as well as strong families. One big goal that my husband and I have for our children is to give them a rich childhood. By rich, I mean rich in knowledge, in outdoor play, adventures, exploring, and different experiences such as art, nature, music, choir, a lot of different things that can just expand their knowledge and their experiences. And this is really important to us. And one important thing is for us to keep them off of screens. Our children do not have phones. They don't have iPads or anything like that. The only thing that they're allowed is some screen time, but it's very regulated and monitored. And we try as much as we can to keep them away from screen time, just because I believe that screen time is a creativity killer and an imagination killer. And something that I've observed in our world is that it seems that when a parent hands their child a phone, it's as if their innocence and their childhood is gone that same moment that they are handed a phone. And so for my husband and I, it's so important for us to protect our children's heart, mind, eyes, their innocence, their childhood. It's so important to us to just stand firm, be on watch, be on guard, and keep them away from these things for as long as we possibly can. And everyone argues, oh, well, they'll be exposed to it eventually. Yes, but they will be more mature and they will be more stable and more rooted and grounded in their beliefs and in their mental health and spiritual strength and all those things. So I do realize that eventually they'll be exposed to the things of the world, but it won't be before they're ready and before they're mature and able to handle these sorts of things. Another thing that is really important to our family is music. And so our children take piano lessons and they also go to choir. Choir is offered at our church for free, so that's been really amazing. We love to be a part of that community. And another thing that we do is in the evenings, we read the Bible, we pray together, and on weekends, we like to gather around the piano. Our oldest two lead on the piano. My husband sometimes plays guitar, and we love to just sing and worship together. In my middle school years, I read a book called The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom, and to this day, Corrie ten Boom is my top faith hero. And one thing that I remember from the book that her mother taught her is life is what you make it. And so my husband and I set this goal to make life as beautiful and wonderful as possible for us, for our children, and ultimately it's for the glory of God. Now, that doesn't mean that every day is sunshine and butterflies as I would like it to be. Obviously, there's still hardships and we're faced with daily things. Raising children is, yes, I love it, but it does come with challenges just like anything else. Any good thing comes with challenges, but it is so worth it. So having said all of that, we're just simple people. We're Bible-believing Christians, homeschooling and raising our children to look at the world with a biblical lens, aiming to live a simple, quiet, and peaceful life, glorifying God one day at a time. And my whole goal with starting this channel is to encourage, motivate, and inspire others who are seeking or pursuing or longing for this same kind of lifestyle. So if this is something that interests you, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel and check out our other videos, and be sure to share this channel. And again, thank you so much for joining me today in this video.